Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Insider Report. Here we talk about characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on and off screen. I'm your host, Andrew Lawler, aka Barry. Let's get on with the show. Peter Parker was born on August 10th, 2001 in Forest Hills, Queens, and is primarily raised by his Aunt May. When he was just a child, he attended a Stark Media Expo, where he was rescued by Iron Man, while attending high school at the Midtown School of Science and Technology. In 2015, Parker is bitten by a radioactive spider, giving him superhuman abilities. He becomes the superhero Spider-Man by using his powers for good, and maintains a secret identity so his enemies cannot attack his friends and family. At Midtown School, Parker is smart but is frequently bullied by Flash Thompson. He also befriends Ned Leeds, who has been his best friend since they were young. He constructs a homemade Spider-Man suit, designing it as a red and blue hoodie, also equipped with his web shooters. In 2016, Parker is living with Aunt May in Queens, New York, when he meets Tony Stark at his apartment, who reveals that he knows Parker is Spider-Man. Stark recruits him to join his conflict with Steve Rogers, and sends Parker to Germany, where the latter is given a new Spider-Man suit designed by him and is brought to the Haley airport to aid Stark and his Avengers faction against Captain America's team. Peter is a fan of Captain America despite them being on opposite sides. They briefly exchange where in New York they are from upon fighting, after incapacitating Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson and helping to defeat a giant Scott Lang. Parker is sent back to Queens. 2 months later, Parker continues to balance his life as a high school student and Spider-Man, but eagerly awaits his next mission from Stark and continuously texts Stark's driver and bodyguard, Happy Hogan. Returning home from operating as Spider-Man, Ned accidentally learns Parker's secret identity. Parker leaves a school party hosted by his crush, senior student Liz, to stop a drug deal by Jackson Bryce and Herman Schultz, who plan to sell Chitauri weapons to Aaron Davis. Parker follows Bryce and Schultz before being caught by their boss, Adrian Toomes, who drops Parker to a nearby lake. Stark remotely saves Parker using one of his Iron Man armors and warns Parker of further involvement with Toomes. On an academic decathlon trip to Washington, D.C., Parker and Ned disable the tracker on Parker's suit, and Parker later captures Toomes' new buyer, Mac Gargan, aboard the Staten Island ferry, after returning to New York. Toomes escapes and a malfunctioning weapon tears the ferry in half, which Parker attempts to briefly fix it before Stark arrives and saves the passengers. Stark confiscates Parker's suit as a punishment for his recklessness, and Liz accepts to be Parker's homecoming date. Later, while on the way to pick Liz for the homecoming dance, Parker discovers Toomes is Liz's father, and Toomes also deduces Parker is Spider-Man. Toomes gives Parker one final chance not to interfere with his business out of a gratitude for Parker previously saving Liz's life. But Parker abandons Liz to stop Toomes from stealing a damage control cargo plane that is shipping equipment from Avengers Tower using his homemade suit. When Toomes' Vulture suit is damaged, Parker saves his life, but leaves him in a web for the DODC and Hogan to arrest. The next day at school, Liz is angry at Parker for abandoning her before tearfully informing him that she and her mother will be moving away since Toomes is imprisoned. Hogan brings Parker to Avengers compound where Stark congratulates him on defeating Toomes, admits he underestimated him, and offers him a place in the Avengers, showcasing the newly developed Iron Spider armor with it. Parker declines the offer, preferring to focus on local activities in Queens. When Stark returns the Spider-Man suit to him, Parker puts it on, at which point a shocked May learns he is Spider-Man. In 2018, while headed on a field trip, Parker sees the Q ship above New York City and asks Ned to cover for him as he leaves the school bus. As Spider-Man, he helps Stark fight Cool Obsidian and follows Ebony Maw, who had captured Stephen Strange, to his spaceship. This prompts Stark to fly into space and rescue Parker, sending the Iron Spider armor to Parker. He and Stark rescue Strange and kill Maw, and Stark officially declares Parker an Avenger. The spaceship lands on the planet Titan, where Parker, Stark, and Strange are confronted by some members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Before they realize they are both on the same side, stopping Thanos. Thanos eventually arrives and Parker helps subdue him along with Stark, Strange, Peter Quill, Drax, and Mantis. However, Quill attacks Thanos, making Parker lose his grip on removing the Infinity Gauntlet. Parker rescues an unconscious Quill, Drax, Nebula, and Mantis after Thanos throws Titan's moon at them. Thanos leaves and is successful in disintegrating half of all life, including Parker in the blip. In 2023, Parker is restored to life and is brought via a portal to the destroyed Avengers compound to assist the Avengers and their allies in defeating an alternate 2014 Thanos. Parker reunites with Stark, who later sacrifices his life to save the universe. Parker attends his funeral and returns to high school, having a heartfelt reunion with Ned. 8 months later, in mid-2024, Parker, still reeling from Stark's death, decides to take a break from being a vigilante, and goes on a school trip to Europe with Ned and other classmates, where he plans to reveal his romantic feelings towards his classmate, MJ. In Venice, Parker and his classmates are attacked by a water monster, but are saved by Quentin Beck. Parker is approached by Nick Fury, whose calls he had been fielding, and who appoints Beck as his teammate and battling further element-based monsters throughout Europe. Fury gives Parker Edith, an artificial intelligence created by Stark to give to Parker. After defeating the fire elemental in Prague, Parker feels he isn't ready to be the next Iron Man and gives Edith to Beck, who, unbeknownst to Parker, is a former disgruntled employee of Stark's. Parker goes on a walk with MJ and reveals his attraction to her and accidentally his identity as Spider-Man. The pair discover Beck used holographic projectors to visually create the elementals, and Parker goes to Berlin to warn Fury about Beck's deception. Beck catches wind of this and traps Parker in multiple illusions, and while impersonating Fury, tricks the latter into telling the names of the students that know his fraudulence. Parker is hit by a train and left for dead in the Netherlands, but calls Hogan and creates a new suit for himself using Stark's technology as he enters London to stop Beck, who has created an amalgamated elemental using Stark Industries drones. Ned and MJ evacuate the students and fight with Hogan while Parker destroys those drones and approaches Beck. Beck attempts to kill Parker using the drones, but Parker manages to get a drone to shoot him, Beck beginning to bleed. Parker gets Edith back as Beck seemingly dies and disables the drones. Parker and his classmates return to New York City, with he and MJ planning a date the following week. After swinging through the city, Parker and MJ witness a broadcast from J. Jonah Jameson of the DailyBugle.net, showing an edited video of Beck incriminating Parker for the London attack and revealing his identity as Spider-Man, much to the latter's shock. Parker, MJ, Ned, and May are interrogated by Damage Control, and the murder charges are dropped with lawyer Matt Murdock's help. But Parker's friends still grapple with negative publicity from Jameson and Beck's supporters. Parker and MJ then move into Happy Hogan's apartment for their safety. After Parker Ned and MJ's applications to MIT are rejected. In light of controversy, Parker goes to the New York sanctum to ask Stephen Strange for help. Strange, despite Wong's warnings, attempts to cast a spell that could make everyone forget Parker is Spider-Man, though Parker repeatedly tampers with it. He tries to convince an MIT administrator to reconsider his and his friends' applications before being attacked by Otto Octavius, who rips Parker's nanotechnology from his iron spider armor, which bonds with his mechanical tentacles and allows Parker to disable them. As the Green Goblin appears and attacks, Strange teleports Parker and Octavius to the Sanctum, where he explains that before he could contain the tampered spell, it summoned people from alternate universes who know Spider-Man's identity and which allowed the multiverse to be broken open. Strange orders Parker, MJ, and Ned to find and capture multiversal visitors. They locate and retrieve Max Dillon and Flint Marko, and later Parker retrieves Norman Osborn from a feast building and discovers that the latter, Dillon and Octavius, were pulled from their universes just before their deaths. He refuses to send the villains home to their deadly fates and their original realities and traps Strange in the mirror dimension, stealing the spell, takes the villains to Hogan's apartment, and cures Octavius. The Goblin persona, having taken control of Osborn, convinces the uncured villains to betray Parker, and a fight ensues, which culminates with Goblin finally wounding May before escaping. Before she dies, May tells Parker that with great power there must also come great responsibility. After May's death, a bereaved Parker, whose guilt was accentuated by Jameson's gaslighting reporting, is ready to give up and send the villains to die. He is confronted by his friends and meets two alternate versions of himself that are later nicknamed Peter 2 and Peter 3. The alternate Parkers share stories of losing loved ones and encourage Parker, later nicknamed Peter 1, to fight in May's honor. They develop cures for the villains and lure the Lizard, Dillon, and Marko to the Statue of Liberty, managing to cure them. The Goblin appears and unleashes the contained spell, and an enraged Peter 1 tries to kill him before being stopped by Peter 2. The former and Peter 3 inject the Goblin cure into him, curing Osborn of his Goblin persona. Peter 1 realizes that the only way to protect the multiverse is to erase Peter Parker from everyone's memory and requests that Strange do so, while promising MJ and Ned that he will find them again. The spell is cast and everyone returns to their respective universes, with him saying goodbye to his alternate versions. A few weeks later, Parker visits MJ and Ned to reintroduce himself, but decides against it, not wanting to endanger them. While mourning at May's grave, he has a conversation with Hogan and is inspired to carry on, but decided to isolate himself from his allies and fellow superheroes in order to keep them safe, as he came to believe that he was dangerous to be around. Parker, having dropped out of school and moved into a new apartment, starts studying to get his GED, and makes a new suit to resume his superheroics as Spider-Man, who is now reconsidered as a hero, although a now unaware Jameson continues his smear campaign against him. Before we conclude, I would like to give you a quick reminder that I have a mini-series out called What Is. It talks about different artifacts and magical items found in the MCU. There are 2 episodes out now out of 6 and will be released every Friday morning, so be sure to check it out if you haven't already. Alright everyone, that will be all for today's show. I hope you learned something new today and enjoyed learning more about the Marvel Universe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Make sure to stick around to the end to see some upcoming episodes or the previous ones in case you missed them. I'm Barry, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.